Okay, thanks everyone. So for our last presentation today, we have Rosie who will be presenting on the risks and potential solutions of developing offsite timber construction in Ontario. And her research is supervised by Rasoul, as well as Alex Nott with the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources, who's with us online. Rosie?
Hi everyone. My project is risks and the potential solutions of developing offsite timber construction in Ontario. So let's start with a true story from my friend Yanis. She's 32 years old. She runs a convenience store. She has been in Canada for 10 years. She studied here, worked here, and now she has a baby. But she still cannot afford to buy a house. So which also makes me worry about my future. So yeah, this is not uncommon in Ontario. Actually, the housing price of Ontario has soared over the past 20 years, and especially in the city of Toronto. Almost half of all households rent their homes, including many middle-aged people, not just young people. So that shows how severe the problem is. But we have a potential solution, which is off-site timber construction. So it's been successful in countries like Germany and Finland, which shows it's not only a great method to solve the housing crisis, but also it's a greener and faster and cheaper construction method that can optimize the structure of construction industry. So can we also do this in Ontario? With this question, I began my research. So in previous research, we mapped the distribution of relevant companies. We can see most companies are gathered in the southeastern part of Ontario, where the population density is high and the transportation system is well developed. That shows we have the capacity to do this. Then we map the supply chain. So we can see the process starts from the timber harvested by the forest owners, following policies and sustainability standards to get certifications. And then those timber goes into sawmills. After careful design, it's manufactured to be engineered wood products and simply do some assemble in the factory. Then those prefabricated components are transported to the construction site and just do some simple installation. A new house will be ready in a very short time. So because all of the process is careful design, we can minimize the material waste and quality deviations. So this is another key advantages of off-site timber construction. So based on these findings, my capstone project focused on the primary risks in developing with off-site timber construction in Ontario, particularly financing risks and market risks, and also their interconnections and potential strategies. After reviewing many literature, I designed my methodology with two parts, which are interview and questionnaire. So for the interview part, I did a semantic analysis and a semantic relationship analysis using Vivo 15 and visualize with hierarchy chart and metric queries. So you will see these charts later. I did this because there's little literature on this industry in Ontario now. So interviews help me better understand the basic situation and help me design a questionnaire. So for the questionnaire part, I did descriptive analysis by converting the questionnaire into binary and calculating the frequency to identify the main risks. So it's analyzed by RStudio and visualized with tree maps. And to explore the connection between risks, I did regression, including within category analysis, cross-category analysis, and targeted multiple variable regression. So after doing all of this, based on the interview findings and literature findings, I proposed some solutions. So this is a semantic analysis result. We can see the content, the main content we discussed in the interviews. So we can see investment costs and return and the suggestion are the two key topics. and risk management and the supply chain problems were also discussed frequently. This is a association heat map. So the larger the number, the stronger the correlation. So we can see like the suggestion and risk management have the stronger is the correlation with a score of 8. And the suggestion is also linked to investment costs and return with a score of 4, and with technology gap with a score of 2. That means the suggestion we discussed in the interviews mainly focus on addressing risk issues, financing issues, and technology issues. So this is a detailed heat map. Again, we can see high capital investment and machinery, score 2, which means equipment investment is a shared concern. And what customer want and vertical integration, score 2, which means interviewees see vertical integration as a potential way to better meet customer needs. So based on these findings, I designed targeted questions to gather more comprehensive results. And after collecting 27 responses, I identified 6 key risks in Ontario's offsite timber construction. So which their financial risk, regulatory risk, manufacturing risk, supply chain risk, market risk, and design risk. So each block's area represents its proportion in all of those risks. I also made 3 maps to break down each category of risk, but due to time constraint, I will not go into each of them. Let's just focus on the summarized chart. So we can see the most significant risk is unstable supply chain, accounting for 16%, and the regulation restrictions accounting for 9%, and high initial capital investment accounting for 7%. Other notable risks include market demand, manufacturer technology, and labor force. So now we know what risks are. Let's go into the interconnection part. So I did within category regression on each category of risk. But due to time constraint, we will just focus on market. Yeah, so we can see lack of customer awareness, advantages of building with other material, and the increased popularity of traditional methods are 3 affecting many other variables. So the red line here represent negative influences, and the green one there represents positive influences. So there are many relationships shown here, and they are complex. But I have to point out that because the name of each factor was aggregated by many questions and named by myself. So that means the real world meaning of each factor may vary depending on the context. And that means the relationship graph shown there is not definitive, but could be used as a reference for discussion. So this is cross-category regression. We can say economic uncertainty and the transportation costs can each explain 17% of the variation of return on investment uncertainty. And high initial capital investment and economic uncertainty and cost of fluctuation are all influenced by difficulty in financing and the price competition by about 11%. And supply chain problems, supply chain combinations are significantly influenced by transportation costs, and the market entry barrier is influenced by competition from other construction methods, and the low market acceptance is influenced by changes in customer preference, competition from other construction methods, and the regulatory and the policy barrier. So interestingly, we also found that policy barrier is also influenced by low market acceptance, which forms a cyclical relationship. Yeah, so now we have know what risks are and how they interconnect. Yeah, what we ultimately want to identify is the root cause, the initial influencing factor. So by addressing the initial influencing factor, we can make a chain reaction to all the problems caused by their impacts. So with this thinking, let's go into the solution part. Like money issues can be improved by tax incentives and subsidies and low interest loans. Countries like Germany have successfully implemented similar measures to boost investment confidence and the development of innovative construction projects. And supply chain problems can be improved by vertical integration and the development of regional supply chain. So Finland's approach to strengthening local timber industry has not only reduced costs, but also provide job opportunities in rural areas. So the shortage of skilled workers and the reliance on importing machines can be improved by collaborating with educational institutions and developing local machinery production. The UK, just like Ontario, has just recognized the importance of offsite timber construction. They made a great effort on academic research and talent development. As to regulatory issues, simplifying the regulatory framework, training municipalities, and optimizing certification process can reduce delays and inefficiencies. Streamlining the building permit system, just as seen in Sweden, has accelerated the housing development and encouraged innovation. So there are also some common solutions to public awareness issues and unclear policy. So to conclude, to address housing crisis and develop environmentally friendly and economically efficient buildings, we can consider offsite timber construction. To fully leverage its advantages, we should mitigate the negative impacts of these risks. So to avoid these risks, we should consider the proposed solutions so that we can bring a better future for Ontario's offsite timber construction industry. So this is reference, and thanks to all companies for participating in surveys and interviews, and thanks to Rasoul and Alex and Jessica from the Ministry of Natural Resources, and thanks to all my friends and classmates and all from MFC professors. So yeah, that's all of my presentation. Thank you.
Rosie, that was great. So we'll be taking questions now. I saw Laura with her hand up. Oh, okay. All right. So while we do that, Alex, if you're online, would you like to begin by asking Rosie a question?
Yeah, sure, I would. Great presentation, Rosie. Wow, very in-depth analysis of the survey responses and all that sort of thing. A question, I guess. So the sort of methods that you described that would help to sort of increase the use of offsite construction, obviously due to time constraints, you couldn't go into a lot of depth about them, but I'm wondering, if you were sort of given the white hat, if you were given the executive authority, how would you, what are the specific strategies you might use to sort of start really start really developing the offsite timber construction sector in Ontario?
Yeah, that's a great question because I always imagine I am like authority. So if I have the right, the first thing I would do is definitely boost the businessman's confidence in profitability and market demand for offsite timber construction. So because based on my research, many businessmen are concerned about the market demand. and if they can get enough money if they invest in this industry. So to do this, I may like publish some data, like the data, like the question in my questionnaire. I ask them, how do you think the cost of offsite timber offsite timber construction this decreased over the past 5 years, and most respondents indicate 5% to 20% decrease. So I think that's a good figure to share with all the relevant companies to boost their confidence and encourage them to enter the market. So that's the first thing I want to do. And next, I think I will do some policy things. But I will provide some fundings, but not targeted at all the companies that want to do offsite timber construction, but only targeted at those who are capable to do offsite timber construction, because government funding is limited. So we should spend the money on where there could be like an impact. So so what kind of companies is capable to do offsite timber construction? Based on my research, because the initial investment of this industry is very high. So I think those companies with their own factory is capable to do this, because they already have a factory. So we just need to like optimize the production line so they can produce timber products. So it can save a lot of money. They have already partially solved the financing barriers. Yeah, so I will funding these kind of companies. So that's the second thing. And I think next I will develop the local supply chain, because based on the research, many companies in Ontario rely on BC's supply chain. So but not because we don't have material supply in Ontario, just because we visited many private forests in field trips before. So many staff mentioned that they want to add value on their timber, but they don't know how. And because the price of timber is much lower than the price of timber products. So I think we can gather these forces together and like make a word combination to gather those forces together, so that we can make our own supply chain, local supply chain. Yeah, I think it's definitely a step, a necessary step to do, because we need our local supply chain to decrease costs. Yeah, so after this, I think I will also do some pilot projects to see if these measures is effective and make adjustments in time. Yeah, that's my answer.
Thanks, Rosie. You have answered so many questions in your explanations, including mine. If you remember, some of the success stories that comes from Finland, Japan, or Germany is because they have this integrated approach, that the value chain is in the hand of one big company or a set of companies that work together. I think for Canada, as you have mentioned, these local engagements in the value chain could be one of the solutions. But of course, most of the European or Japanese companies are medium-sized, family-based companies that they work traditionally forever, and they have established network and value chain. So I believe for Canada, we should cook our own soup, so not just replicate what is going on in other countries. What will be your approach to establish integrated structure for the offsite wood construction in Ontario?
You mean the integration?
Yes.
So my approach to do the integration, because, you know, like just like I mentioned, companies with a factory, that's already, they have already demonstrated a certain degree of vertical integration because construction company, design company, and the manufacturer, they're all together. So that's the vertical integration. So based on this, I will, if I have a factory and do this, I will expand my business. So how to say? So yeah, so for other vertical integration is from the the material side. So I maybe cooperate with forest owners, maybe not one forest owners because one supplier is not reliable. So I will maybe I will make a alliance with all of the forest owners in Ontario to make a like association, forestry association, planter association, so that they can provide timber from this platform to many other constructors or designers or the manufacturers, just like establish a platform. So so that maybe from this form, maybe from this platform, we can reduce the cost between different parties because we communicate directly with the material supplier. Yeah.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. That kind of platform to communicate the potentials is a big step. Most of the time, there is unawareness about the capacities and potentials that we have in the state and province, and that we can do much better. Yeah. And as we heard from the Charlotte as well, this chicken and egg problem, demand is waiting for supply, supply is waiting for the demand to work in the market. That's a problem as well for the offsite with construction. Most of the time, if you ask developers and builders what is their biggest problem, they have most of the time just one supplier for one kind of product. Yeah. Showcasing that there is a lot more potential and we can work together to have sustainable security in this sector, that will solve a lot of problems. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions here in the room? Okay.
If I could, I would, oh, sorry, I would ask one follow-up question.
Yes, yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, thank you. Rosie, you've spoken really well to the sort of stimulating supply side of the equation. In your analysis, it seemed like the big uncertainty, or one of the main ones, was essentially around return on investment for manufacturers. I just wonder if you have thoughts inspired by your survey respondents or maybe some of the jurisdictional scans you've done. How can we really stimulate the demand for offsite construction, whether it be through government policy and that sort of thing, or whatever you've discovered?
So, sorry, you mean the market demand?
Yes, exactly.
How to evaluate the market demand?
Well, how to stimulate market demand? Like your research looked at, it identified things like just unfamiliarity with modular and offsite construction, uncertainty around these types of construction amongst the market. And so, yeah, what would be ways that we could essentially stimulate demand?
Stimulate demands for offsite timber construction. I think there is the demand is very high because all the companies I interviewed, they say there is enough market demand. Because in Ontario, housing, as I said before, housing crisis is a problem. So we need more house, but we need a house to be very cheap and can be built in a short period. Like in 2 years, we can meet the target. I heard that Ontario has a goal about the number of total housing in Ontario. So to meet this goal, I think the goal is already the demand, and it's very sufficient to like support those companies in Ontario to do offsite timber construction. But also because government preference is one side and market preference is another side. So how to stimulate, sorry, if I understand correctly, the word of stimulate is like modeling or it's like boosting.
To boost, I would say to
Oh,
like
yeah.
to ensure that manufacturers have some demand certainty, right? Like they have high overhead costs for these high capital investment facilities. And so they need to have certainty that there'll be demand for these
Okay.
units moving forward. They can't have their factories just sitting idle, right? While they're waiting for new projects to come into the pipeline. So yeah, I guess
Yeah, so I think for like government side, because they have the housing number goal, so we should clear this goal. Like the government published that we want to a certain portion of the housing to be built with offsite timber construction. So in that way, there is clear like the demand is here. So the factories will do this, will invest equipment to expand their capacity. And for the market side, so people actually, based on my research, small scale projects like single family homes is now cheaper if you use offsite timber construction. Actually, offsite timber construction is more cheaper when you use it in large scale projects like hybrid structure constructions, like wood with concrete with steel. So I think the market demand should focus on the hybrid structure construction. So it's also used offsite timber construction, but just with the foundation to be built with concrete. So, and also this kind of building can be used in many purposes, like apartments or like commercial buildings. So there is high demand there in commercial buildings and apartment. So I think we should like promote the advantages of offsite timber construction in those kind of buildings. Yeah.
excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you so much.